Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Rams House podcast. Ethan here, joined with Will and Joe. How are you guys doing, gentlemen?
What's up,
Doing
guys?
well. What's up,
Doing all
boys?
right.
It is a great week to be a Rams fan. The only
Yes, sir.
thing that comes remotely as close as the enjoyment of a Rams victory is seeing 49ers players and their fans in pain and sadness.
Yep.
Watching
Yeah,
Debo Samuel cry on the sidelines of the NFC Championship game was one of the most satisfying moments of my life. Um,
100%.
so,
Uh,
yeah, we're feeling a little bit of that magic this week. We were underdogs. I know they're going to complain about missing McCaffrey and Debo and George Kittle. We have 7 starters out. So,
yep.
I
Yeah,
really, what is the Stephen A. Smith? Let me tell you, we do not care.
Yeah, we
Um,
do not. We're probably more banged
yeah.
up than they are. I
We
mean,
do
come on.
not care.
Oh no, we are
I
more
think it was
banged
Mike
up.
Tomlin. It was Mike
They
Tomlin.
both they both have one with exact
They
same
both
quote.
have one.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Yeah.
yeah. We are far more banged up than they do. We have 7 full time week 1 starters who are currently injured.
Yeah.
They have like 4 max. So that is the main topic of conversation for this episode is the huge comeback win against the 49ers. We're going to discuss how that came to be because it was a real comeback. It was we had a lot of adversity in the game, a lot of nonsense that occurred in the first half, especially. So let's go ahead and get into our first topic, which is going to be the recap. It was a it was a great game to watch. It was like I said, really frustrating in the first half. There wasn't just we didn't just get kind of blown out in the first half. We also had a ton of calls go against us. I remember one drive in particular. I want to say it was the second drive of the game. In fact, let's take a look. I think it was the second drive in the game where they had back to back to back third downs that were bailed out by a flag, and they were ticky
Right.
tack
Oh, man.
trash
Yeah.
calls.
Oh,
I want to say it was this one. So yeah, you have their first one's right here, 3rd and 8. They called holding on Trey White, and the replay showed it was like at most a very minor tug. It was that was a really ticky tack call. It does not get called on most Sundays. Um,
Brock Purdy really overthrew the ball, too.
it wasn't that's why they called holding because it wasn't catchable.
Yeah.
But so
Hmm.
then so they got 5 yards automatic first down, right? So okay, bogus. Then here on 3rd and 7, deep ball to Jennings, illegal contact on Quentin Lake, who was on the other side of the field, wasn't even in the play. Another
Yeah.
ticky tack nonsense call, first down. And then on the 27th, they called a DPI on Cameron Curl. It was again
That was
very,
That was awful.
you know what? That
very
was probably the
tiki,
worst call of all of them.
dude.
Yeah, that was the worst one.
But you see, it's literally three. It was back to back to back third downs that were converted by the 49er teammates and stripes that are on the field.
Yeah.
I literally I couldn't even believe it. It was one of the most. I was at a sports bar with a buddy, and we were freaking losing it, man. It was unbelievable that it was none of them were egregious. They were all ticky tack. They were all minor.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But we came back. So let's go ahead and get into the game and start breaking it down. Let's talk about our offensive takeaways. Joe, why don't you go ahead and start us off with your offensive takeaway?
So yeah, my biggest offensive takeaway, um, aside from the fact that Kyron showed up just a little bit, we're gonna talk about that later. I wasn't super impressed as I wanted to be, even though he scored 3 touchdowns. I think he had some issues, in the middle of the field. But my offensive takeaway was Matthew Stafford. I just think that the game he had, this and the Lions game was sort of similar to where it's sort of like things were pushing against him, and he kept fighting back and fighting back and fighting back. The whole team really, the whole offense. Like I know I said this in the chat. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you guys seen it, but I said that the Rams offense looked desperate. Like they looked like they wanted to win, really, really bad. You had the trick play, you had the fake punt, and it seemed like everything. They wanted everything to. They just wanted the game real bad, and I wanted the defense to step up. We're gonna talk about that later. They eventually did, but I just think Stafford, the way he was throwing the ball, he had a big throw to he had throws to Tutu, but he had one throw that I really liked, and it was the throw. I can't remember what down it was, but it was a throw to Demarcus Robinson. Um, I know we talked about that. That was a no look, and I think that was just a beautiful pass. So that's just really for me, just Matthew Stafford. You guys can, talk about that as
Yeah.
well if you want.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Stafford was great. I think Stafford was a lot better than the stats will show. And just speaking generally about the game, I just want to first say this is probably one of the most memorable regular season wins that I can remember as a Rams fan. Just the way that we came back, the way that the season was on the line. Obviously, 0-3 versus 1-2 is such a massive difference. But even looking back on, 2018, there were some great games like the Chiefs game, the Vikings game. But the difference was in those seasons, we were a good team, right? So even if you lose that game, obviously it'd be a letdown, but, we were still, 5-0 when we played the Vikings, 9-1 when we played the Chiefs. I mean, this was like almost like a playoff game type feel in the sense that if you lose, like it basically feels like the season is almost over. So man, I don't know that game, guys. It's just one of those games that I think I'm going to remember for a lot of years. Is just so tense. And I know it's almost kind of cringe when people say like, "Oh, I'm proud of my team" as a fan because they're not our kids or anything like that. But honestly, I'm gonna say it. I never say this, but like I'm proud of the way the Rams fought, stayed in that game,
With you.
and yeah, yeah. But and so as far as the takeaways, like you already touched on Stafford, um, the run blocking was probably the biggest surprise. Positive takeaway for me is the way that our offensive line opened up holes against their front. Kyron was better. That's what I'll say. I'm not gonna say, a lot of people will look at this game and be like, you Kyron haters are crazy. Look, he had 3 touchdowns. I mean, he still averaged less than 4 yards per carry. I'm not going to say he ran great, but the offensive line was really opening it up for him, and he was, he ran better. His guys, to me, his 2 best plays were one, the touchdown catch, and
Oh
two,
yeah, that was a
late in
good
that
one.
game, season on the line, 4th down and 1. And he actually, what did we get on Kyron for a lot on this podcast is not making a quick read and not being decisive when he gets the ball. He got the handoff, saw that the middle was collapsing. I think where that play was originally supposed to be ran to, and he immediately made one little cut outside and converted that 4th down. That was clutch. That was one of his. It was like a 1 yard run, but that was one of his best plays of the season. So I feel like I'm trying to be fair here. I actually don't think he played like great, but he had a couple clutch plays. Offensive line was great. It was interesting that we ran some 12 personnel too. By the way, guys, I don't know if that I don't think that's here to stay once Cooper and Puka are back. But yeah, those are the few things that came to mind. What about you, Ethan?
Um, so I'm gonna go a couple different directions, right? First of all, I am going to say that again, I think this is one of the best coach games that McVay's had as a Ram.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
the adjustment to 12 personnel with Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua being out, and Kyron struggling to pick up even a single yard at most times was key. Not even that really, it was also pass protection. It was the blocking from both ends has been a problem. We have we don't have our main receivers. Higby's still out. Our top 3 targets of last year are all injured. Um, a major adjustment was necessary to be made, and McVay did it without hesitation. We went from 100% 11 personnel to almost 50% 12 personnel in a
yeah,
week.
yeah,
That is not the kind of adjustments that McVay has made in his career to date. And he's done it twice now this season. The first time against the Lions and now against the 49ers. It's huge adjustments against, very good teams. So McVay coached his butt off. I thought that was probably his best game of the season by quite a bit. Um, I still think Sean just made it so easy, and that's his job, right? So they both did their job really well. Now on the flip side, I am going to be the villain, and I am going to say so. I actually spent several hours today rewatching the game, and I thought Kyron was actually pretty bad, and I know
yeah.
that's gonna. I don't think. Let me say this. I don't think Kyron played any better today or yesterday than he did in the first 2 weeks. I think the run
Okay.
blocking was tremendously better.
Right, right.
I
Yeah, I hear you.
posted some screenshots in Discord of massive holes that Kyron missed over and over again in all 4 quarters. He did have a couple decent runs, but he has a couple decent runs in the first 2 weeks too. I mean, that wasn't for the most part. He was just having significantly bigger holes. Like
Yeah.
this run blocking was better than a lot of the games from last year, simply because we had 7 guys blocking on the line, both tight ends blocking, along with all that. In fact, let me show this real quick. We had I saw this and I was like, bro, this is crazy, right? Jordan Whittington, rookie wide receiver, being talked about about how good his run blocking was. Same with Hunter Log and Colby Parkinson.
Right.
So
Right.
besides the O line, who was pretty good in run blocking game, the receivers, the freaking tight ends, all were. I mean, it was a whole team effort. I wish I could show some of these still shots that we got of like Kyron running through literally 5-yard holes. It was just unbelievable.
No, I mean, there's a little tweet from Baldinger. If anyone's listening to this right now and they think Ethan's being unfair, or he's being, a jerk. I mean, it's Baldinger put up a clip on Twitter, and the holes. He's right. The holes that were there, where it's like comical how wide they are. I mean, there was honestly a lot more yards to be had.
Yeah, if you guys go to Baldy's Twitter page, he posted a 2-minute clip about Kyron and the O line, and he posted it from the end zone view, and Kyron is just breezing through these massive holes. And after watching the film, I can confirm that was what he did most of the game. It was pretty unbelievable. I would say he left a lot of yards on the table. The other thing is, I'm not going to harp on it too much. Alaric Jackson and Logan Bruss had a rough time on the left side in pass protection. But, again, McVay put a lot of help over there. There was a lot of running back chips, a lot of tight end chips, and some double teams. It's Alaric's first game back for a long time. We'll give him a break. Bruss is really still getting his NFL legs under him. I'm not going to harp too badly on him, but they struggled, and McVay gave them an out. I think I have this tweet here with the pass blocking grades on the left side, 52.1. Obviously, this isn't everything. And one of the things that stuck out to me, first of all, Bo Limmer, what a stud. Like, what a...
Yeah, he's playing really well.
He's really playing well.
Playing really, really.
He kept showing up on film a couple times for like the other 4 guys in the line being beat, and then Bo's just sitting there blocking his guy, not moving, which was really impressive. I got a couple cool shots of that. Dotson actually really did. So at first I was like, no way Dotson was this bad. Having rewatched it, Dotson actually was really bad. I can tell you for a fact his ankle was bothering. He fell like 4 or 5 times in the game while
Yeah, I know
making
he got
blocks.
it's a foot or ankle injury or something.
He was that whatever issue he's having, he was struggling to keep his balance, and he was doing a lot of double teams with Bo Limmer and Rob Havenstein. So he was clearly in some pain and getting some help. So I wouldn't say he was a massive problem, but he definitely was not his normal dominant self. And Logan was dominant in the run game. The run game stats here are no joke. He was actually, but Logan's a run grader. Like, this is what he does, right?
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, it felt like McVay was. This is like what we talk about with Shanahan, right? That he gets like scraps and he puts together really good games. And it felt like Sean really did that. That's something we rarely see from him, when he's always had such good pieces on offense. I thought Sean was just, this is the best Sean I've ever seen.
Yeah, man. This year and last year, I think Sean showed he just got better at being able to adjust to whatever he has. I know Will had a couple problems with it last year or the year before that, just by him being creative when everything's not going right. And I think that these last couple of seasons, he's really harped on that. He's got way better at being creative with who's ever out there.
Yeah, and something I probably should have said right away as my offensive takeaway is, we talk about the injuries, but that San Fran defense, their defense was healthy. As we pointed out in the last episode, Ethan, you brought up the rosters on both sides. That defense was healthy, and we put up 27 points on them with a banged up offense, like missing offensive linemen, missing Cooper Kupp, missing Puka Nacua. We put up 27 points on that defense. I mean, that's a really good showing. McVay did great.
Yeah.
And I think, the offense, outplaying the defense is something that I was you could argue with me and say, well, we should expect that with McVay and Stafford, but no, I mean, considering the personnel, no, I would have thought I wouldn't have expected our offense to outplay our defense on Sunday. So they did a great job, man. Also, the fake punt, man, reminded me of the NFC Championship game against the Saints. I think we did that when we were down like 13-0 against them. That was ballsy, and that flipped the game. So special teams also playing well. I know we don't do a special teams segment, so I just thought I would throw it in there.
Yeah,
now.
no, that's a
Special
good point
teams, great.
actually. And you know what's crazy about that fake punt when I watched it over today? Because there was a lot of commotion in the bar at the time. I saw it and I was like, oh, that's sick. But then I watched it and paid more. They didn't even fall for it. We just outwilled them. When you watch it, because you know the whole thing is the punter fakes that it was a bad snap and he's running to the right. Literally, no one followed him. They all followed Ronnie the whole time, but the Rams just got the push and got it in.
Barely got it. You're right.
It was just sheer effort. Sheer effort.
Yeah.
Good job on Ryan, man. That's the best play I've seen him making in
His entire career. Probably
right?
will be the best play he ever makes in his whole career. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, you know what's crazy is this is one of the crazy takeaways that I had was that like I didn't genuinely think that anyone on offense was very good. I would even say Stafford made some pretty nice throws, but as a whole, Stafford didn't really blow me away either. It's just everyone did something. Stafford's best stuff was just being a leader and having poised drives, right? But Stafford wasn't like slinging crazy throws left and right. Really, he was just leading the offense, and there wasn't any crazy catches really. I mean, Tutu bobbled a couple that he ended up hanging on to. The deep ball, he was pretty wide open, and he had to stop for. That wasn't even that good of a throw. Like, it wasn't those kinds of games we're used to where we're like seeing these incredible plays from people all over. Kyren didn't really have any good runs. The O-line didn't really do well, but it's Sean, man. He had 7 guys out there blocking in run plays. He had 7 guys blocking sometimes in pass plays. He left both tight ends into blocks sometimes. This was literally, in my opinion, just a masterclass of coaching. He was dealing with, and I'm not trying to say Stafford was bad. I don't want that to be misconstrued. Stafford was dealing with bottom of the barrel talent on our team. I mean, like, he was dealing with a lot of problems. I mean, he oftentimes was like clearly having miscommunications. There was a play on 3rd and 2 where Tyler Johnson clearly did not go where Stafford had wanted to. Like, so he was dealing with a lot of problems. But man, McVay was just like he was helping AJ with blocks, and Bruss was getting help from Limmer, and Dotson was like, it just was like the most gelled and most team effort I've seen on offense in a long time. Like, cause think about it last year. It's like, oh, Puka went off for 180 yards. Cooper Kupp had a monster game, or Kyren had 175 yards or 3 touchdowns. Like, there's always
no one had a monster game.
It was just everyone doing a little bit of everything, including Tutu getting the freaking DPI call that was huge in the comeback. There was some legit stuff, and I know I've harped on it. Like Tutu was obviously critical to the win, and I harp on the fact that he can't get off the line of scrimmage without emotion, and I think that can be hurtful. But he made some big plays when we needed them. That felt like the most team win we've had on offense in a long time.
I hear that.
Before we move on to defense, I just got 2 quick things that I just thought of when she was talking about it. The first one was, I do want to give a shout out to Coach Wendell and
dude,
just how, like you said, how much chemistry the offensive line, for them to be switching out all the time like that.
Yeah,
the offensive line still to have all the teamwork and still look like they've been playing together forever.
Amazing.
That's super.
And you know what's crazy, real quick, is they were doing much more complex blocking schemes this game than they'd done in the first 2 games. And, you got a rookie in Bo Limmer. You have Logan Bruss, who's had a pretty rough start to his career with injuries and being ineffective. AJ in his first game of the season. Dotson on one leg. It's a mess. But, dude, I watched the whole game just focused on the O-line one time. And, dude, they were like combo blocking, switch blocking. They were doing some pulling. Like, dude, it was a massive. Dude, Wendell is no joke. I know this is gonna piss off some people, but I have a feeling, based on the fact that the blocking scheme is so darn good, that Wendell deserves more credit for the success in the running game than LaFleur does. It just seems,
I mean,
man.
that's not a bad take.
And then then he gets to bring in two tight ends to help block on almost every play, and they were so helpful. They were like every play they were helping, and it was different people. They helped on Havenstein's side. They helped on Alaric Jackson's side. I saw them even stunting into the middle and helping in the middle sometimes. Like, it was crazy, dude. The blocking scheme was complex, but they weren't like getting in each other's way and stuff like that. That was something to behold. Wendell's the real deal.
He is, man. And real quickly, my second thing, you guys really don't have to reply to this. You're going just something I noticed when Ethan was talking about, Stafford's playing to really impress him. Something that I've noticed, and Kurt Warner talked about it, was how bad QB play has been the first 3
Oh
weeks.
my gosh.
And not that Matt Stafford was bad, but I just think that me watching all these games and seeing how bad some of these QBs be playing, seeing a quarterback even look somewhat good or good to great, to me is just crazy. Just because the play hasn't been like it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, and I won't go too much on this, but I actually think Brock Purdy played really well. Like, there was a few throws where pressure in his face, and he throws off his back foot like under pressure. A couple of them were drops by Ayuk. By the way, actually, guys, and I'm not just saying this to react to yesterday's game. Ayuk is totally overpaid, man. He's a good player, but he's not like that, man, to be getting $120 million. Like, that dude, I'm so glad the 49ers paid that guy, because he's totally not worth it.
Anyway, I've never liked Ayuk. I've always been Ayuk hater.
I'm with you. I don't think he's any sort of special elite talent. I think he's just a good player, and that's about it. But one more quick point about offense. And guys, we can debate until we're blue in the face how good of a player Tutu Atwell is. I know he's kind of a controversial name in the Rams fan base, but I don't really care to do that right now. But if he is going to be on the field while Puka's out, while Cooper's out, we should be throwing that go ball to him. That should be something we do 2 or 3 times a game, just by virtue of the fact that you saw it on Sunday. Defenders panic, and half the time you're gonna just draw a quick PI flag. So I think if he's gonna be on the field for the next couple of games, that should just be something that we do 2 or 3 times a game. Just throw one up to Tutu. Maybe we'll convert it, or maybe we'll get a flag. But I think that's if he's gonna be on the field, that's something that you got to be doing 2 or 3 times a game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the local Tutu hater. I just wish we had a deep threat that was capable of getting open without needing motion. Because you know what's funny is that when I was rewatching it, I noticed some of the biggest plays the other receivers had were when they got their 1 or 2 chances a game to go in motion. And motion is just such a creative tool to get guys a head start on the D line, at that press position. And like Whittington had a really nice little 6-yard catch. He came in motion, caught a little out route, and just a nice little catch, and getting a guy like Whittington into the game, and some of the other guys. But Tutu, you definitely have to go take a shot deep at least 3 or 4 times a game with the other guys out.
Yeah. Listen, if you want a real deep threat, just go watch Mizzou, Luther Burden. I'm telling
you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our next topic of conversation, which is the defensive takeaways. You know what? Let's start it off with some legit stats. How about that? Because there's some good stuff here. Let's switch over to the other view. We've got PFF credited the Rams with 27 pressures. 22 of those being to first and second year pass rushers. That would be Byron Young, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, and Kobe Turner.
Nice, man.
Yes, they did miss. They missed a lot of sacks, the whole lot of them, but they are getting a lot of pressure. And to your point about Purdy, I actually didn't think he was very good. The only reason, Purdy made throws that have been interceptions for him in the past, throwing off his back foot with pressure in his face. He did complete a lot of those, and I'll give him. I want to give him credit for that. The issue was, I think if our coverage wasn't so horrible, they probably would have been picked off, because he doesn't have a cannon of an arm. So when he's throwing off his back foot, he floats those balls pretty bad. I saw 2 in particular where when the frame changes, it's Juwan Jennings, and Kobe Turner is like 12 yards away from him when the ball's being thrown off the back foot with intense pressure in his face. And like, yeah, he completes the pass, but like on a procedural level, that's what like last year when he threw interceptions, they were almost all in that scenario. I mean, look, he obviously carved us up too. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying he got away with a couple of throws that should have been picked off, that are picked off normally for him. I guess that'll be my first defensive takeaway is the pass rush was excellent, even though they still need to get better at finishing. Remember, these guys are really young, early in the season, no preseason, all that jazz, right? All the excuses in the world. But the secondary looks like trash. Kobe Durant was awful. Quentin Lake should probably just get cut. He hasn't. I don't think he's had a good snap all season long. He's been really bad.
He's the captain, by the way.
I was really disappointed.
Yeah, take that C off his chest now, bro. That's crazy.
Gosh. I was pretty disappointed with Cameron Curl. He had some unusually bad moments in that game, but the whole secondary just seems totally out of whack and out of sync, and like there's some major communication issues. It was more of the same stuff, man. They're just wide open guys, and it's kind of hard to tell who's at fault, but it seemed to be almost always Kobe Durant and Quentin Lake, and then occasionally Cameron Curl was the guy that was closest.
And Kinchins didn't play well at all, to be honest.
Didn't. He had a couple nice plays, but he was mostly bad. There were 2 touchdowns I think would probably be credited to Cameron Curl.
Yeah, Kinchins got beat on like an out and up. He got beat like so cleanly, and especially the first half. There was just our secondary looks really disorganized. Like,
yes,
the corners and the safeties are not on the same page.
They're not on the same page. A couple of the Kitchens plays, it was like I was talking about. They're hard to tell. It looked like I couldn't tell if it was Kobe Turner or Kinchin's fault. But I lead Kobe. It sounds like you lean Kinchins, but the whole secondary was pretty bad. The only one I thought did well was Trey White. To be honest, he was pretty solid.
You know what? He actually had a pretty good game. Trey White had a pretty good game. Yeah.
It's almost like if you give an all-pro corner who hasn't played for 3 years a couple games to get warmed up, he'll start playing better.
Yeah, I hear you, and you've been all over that, and he played well. You know, we clowned Ayuk, but to be fair, and to your point, part of that is Trey White's on him, and he's doing a pretty damn good job.
Yep.
So just while you have this stat up about the pressures, and I know you already mentioned finishing, just to add some more, I guess, just to illustrate this point a little bit more, I had this in my notes. I'm getting really specific here, but it's a big deal to me, so I want to mention it is. So there's 1:54 left in the third quarter. It's a 3rd and 4. Jared Verse actually drops into coverage, then sees that there's no one for him to cover. So I think you guys probably remember this play. He kind of flies from out of frame. He's unblocked, and he's just completely out of control. He could have had Purdy at the 40-yard line, and that was a 3rd down. So they wouldn't have even have gotten a field goal if he just chills out, breaks down his stride as he approaches the quarterback. But he just flies completely out of control, misses that. They end up getting a field goal in a close game. That's a huge play. Fisk also later in the game misses a sack on a 3rd and 8 that would have pushed them out of field goal range. Now they actually end up missing the field goal. So okay, but process over results, right? So that's not to say, look, these guys, like, don't get it twisted. These guys are not going to be on my stock down. I'm actually higher on these guys today than I am, a couple days ago, because I think you said this. At least they're getting there. To me, finishing can be cleaned up. It can be taught. Again, you break down your stance, take shorter strides before you get there, control yourself. What can't be taught is penetration and the natural ability that they have to get to the quarterback. So exactly as that tweet says, JB Long says, it's extremely encouraging. I'm with him. We can clean up the finishing, and I'm just glad they're getting there. But man, they do got to clean that up. But that's one thing that stood out to me.
Real quick before you go, Joe, I just want to show 2 more stats on that point. Pressure rate 47.4%, 7th highest of the season, and we only blitzed. We almost never blitzed. Watching the game over again, we rushed 3 or 4 the whole game.
That's great.
That's great. That was really good. And then the second one is my boy Braden Fisk with 6 pressures, baby. 2nd highest in a single game by an interior D lineman this whole season. he's literally up there with the two best D tackles in the NFL right now, Chris Jones, Dexter Lawrence, or two of the best, I should say. But yeah, dude, Fisk doing great, Verse doing great, Young doing great, Kobe Turner doing great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save it for later, but the guy in the middle needs to get cut. Go ahead.
Yo, by the way, Tyler Davis flashed a little bit in that game. Speaking of the guy in the middle with Bobby Brown out,
Yeah.
Tyler Davis flashed. I don't think he got that many snaps, but he played pretty well with the snaps he got. It looked like
He's strong. He's actually not that big, but he's strong.
Yeah.
I mean, Bobby Brown is. I'm not even kidding you. I showed you this. There was a play where Bobby Brown, they snapped the ball. Bobby Brown gets into a block, and the guy blocking him literally spun him around, and he like stuck with his back facing the ball, and he just got held there. It looked like he was getting arrested, and wasn't even resisting. Like it looked like he was literally in handcuffs. It was the weird. I've never seen nothing like it. Bobby Brown just doesn't seem to have any strength or fight in him at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one more thing on Fisk, actually, I think Ethan, you actually highlighted this play to me kind of offline, but the end of the game, I think it was like a 3rd and 8. But anyway, Purdy starts to scramble. There's a huge hole up the middle for Purdy to run, and then Fisk really, really smartly senses that lane, spins around and gets Purdy down.
Yeah.
So I mean, bro,
it was a huge key play. Yeah.
It was great. That was great. And yeah. So and guys, by the way, you know, I forget whether it was my key or your key, Joe. I think it was mine, but Jordan Mason's been playing really, really well. And I think we held him to I want to say 77 yards and maybe, anyways, yeah, I don't have I want to say it was 77 yards, but I'll take that all day, man. He had a pretty good day, but
77.
Jordan Mason. Yeah. Okay. 77 yards. I'll take that all day. Great job by the Rams run defense, which is actually kind of a shock to me, but great job. That was really cool to see.
Yeah, Mark Sanchez said something on the thing. He said that during the game, he said that the Rams run defense had got better as the game went on.
Yeah,
And the end of the third, the fourth quarter, they were turning it up more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know it's crazy. You know why that is though? Is the 4 guys we just mentioned, Kobe, Byron Young, Fisk, and Verse, they have unlimited motors. There's just no quit, no stop, no slow down in those guys. It's crazy. In the fourth quarter, they almost looked like they were going faster and stronger than they were in the first 3. It was wild.
Yeah. And shout out, honestly, I still think you're trash, but shout out Troy Reader for that. What was it, a 3rd and 1 by the goal line where he just fills the gap and stops, I think it was Mason for no gain. Great play.
That was...
You're still kind of trash, but great play, Reader.
He's not kind of trash.
Yeah,
he's a JUCO player at best, bro. That was the only gap he filled all season.
You know what? By the way, I think Roseboom is even worse than him, guys. After watching that game, I think Roseboom. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No, sorry. I think Roseboom leads the team in missed tackles. He has double digits, I think.
No, I think he's even worse than Reader.
Roseboom leads the universe in missed tackles. There's freaking aliens playing on other planets that aren't missing as many tackles, dude. It's really sick. Some of these missed tackles make you nauseous when you're watching the film back. Some of those missed tackles make you're like, I swear I was pausing the game at certain points when Roseboom was set up, and I was like, there's no chance he misses this tackle. It's impossible. Anyone can make this miss tackle. I'm telling you, it was unbelievable.
So, Ethan, I just want to ask you a question right now because I'm going to put you – it's not like putting you on the spot, but I don't think it fits into any other segment, so I just want to ask you now, how does this win change your outlook on the season? Since I know you were obviously rightfully so after getting thrashed by the Cardinals, you were kind of feeling down, which a lot of us were. So, does this kind of change? We got the Bears next, which I'm sure we're going to preview that in a sec, but – we got a couple winnable games. How are you feeling?
I mean, it's got to change any outlook a lot because 0-3 is a nail in the coffin. We talked about that. I don't know if any team has ever come back from 0-3 and made the playoffs. Yeah. 0-3 felt. I mean, we all predicted a loss. 0-3 felt like a bit of an inevitability. So, the Bears are trash. Caleb Williams looks awful. I mean, the O line looks like horrible. I mean, I know that's the next segment, but I'm salivating about this young D line going against their O line. Yeah, man, it has to because we're probably about to be 2-2 if you had to guess and bet on that.
Yeah.
So that's a huge deal. It was a lot of it was the fear of going 0-3. 0-3 teams do not make the playoffs. It's just that simple. So yeah.
And you're right. All three of us had us losing. That's crazy. I actually haven't picked a game right all season, guys. I've been wrong every single week. But you guys want to just go to the Bears game, or did you guys have some more take?
We have more stuff.
I just had one super quick thing. We discussed my segment I thought of. I just want to reiterate just one thing, just for everybody out there. Kristen Roseboom and Troy Reader. I don't know you guys, so you guys are probably great people. Troy Reader, you have to be a great person. That's the only reason you're on this team. You just have to be a wonderful guy.
He's got pictures of last, bro.
Yeah, you two are the worst linebackers I've ever seen play NFL football before. That's all I want to say.
After watching the film over again, that's not an exaggeration. It was some of the nastiest ball. I wish we could play film. I wish we could play film, dude. I'm telling you, it's sicker than you think. And I'll add Bobby Brown and Quentin Lake into that group. You got your sub linebacker / star guy. You got your 2 inside linebackers, and you got your nose tackle, and then you have both safeties in total disarray. So you have 5 guys who are just trash, and then you have the safeties who are both good players, just total no communication. Like, it's just utter disarray. So takeaways on defense is when you pressure someone almost 50% of the time, you're going to cause some problems. Shout out to Byron Young on the strip sack because we desperately needed that. The 2 biggest defensive plays of the game, hands down, was the strip sack and Fisk with the spin. It ended up being a sack and ended up being a 1-yard gain, but that probably saved the game for us.
Yeah, that was a huge play.
I know. The other MVP moment of the defense was Kyle Shanahan when he Kyle Shanahan it up at the end of the game and decided to throw on first down instead of running the clock out. Gave us an opportunity to make that game-winning field goal. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate you stopping the clock for literally no. We were down to 1 timeout. I turned to my friend and I said, he's going to pass here because this is what Kyle Shanahan does. He always mismanages the end of the games. I was like, if he just ran it 3 times, we get the ball back with like 20 seconds. It's going to overtime almost guaranteed. But he decided to throw it on first down. We got big pressure. I think Purdy had to throw it away, and I was like, that was a free play, man. We can call our timeout. We'll get the ball back with plenty of time for a field goal. So it was big time. Kyle, appreciate you, bro. Keep blowing games.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle Shanahan.
All right.
They also had that drop. I can't even remember the player's name. He's like number 10. He's like a short dude who doesn't get a lot of
Ronnie
Bell.
He dropped 2 of them.
That was actually kind of the game right there. But anyways, let's move on to the Bears preview. I'm actually excited to talk about this.
Well, we still have more stuff here, but actually funny about Ronnie Bell, he's like 190 pounds, and I pointed it out because he like sunned Troy Reader or Roseman. I can't remember which one, but he just like, it was like horrible.
30 dads.
So we have stock up, stock down still. So let's knock these out. I'll start off on the stock up. I'm gonna go so we'll do offense. Stock up offense. I'm gonna go Bo Limmer. He looked great. You know what's crazy, and I mean this sincerely. He got the least help on the D line, on the O line, and he did the best of everyone on the O line. He was actually really good with the least help, and you gotta look at it. He's going up against Hargrave and Malik. Like, he's actually going up against some talented dudes in the middle there, and he held his own on both the pass and the run. Bo Limmer, it looks like he's the real deal, man. It really does.
Sure. Yeah, you've been high on him from the beginning, so.
Hey, shout out Denna. Denna was the first one to be high. So Denna got in an argument with someone. He's like, hey, if Bo's good, we might be able to get rid of Jonah Jackson and recoup some of that money. And so when he said that, I was like, you know what, let me see what Bo's about. And I went and rewatched all his film from the preseason. I watched all the preseason games over again where he was in the game. I was like, dang, Bo is good. So since before the season, I was high on him, but Denna was the first one to pick him out. Denna is one of our buddies in Discord. He's a good guy.
That's actually a legit question, man. Like, if Bo Limmer keeps this up, what do we do with Jonah Jackson?
We trade him.
Legit thing.
You can move off his contract after the season.
Okay, that's what I was about to ask.
It,
Okay.
it's gonna hurt a little bit, but we make some cash back. So why don't you guys go your stock up? I'll actually look it up on the side and give you an exact number.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Will you want to go or me?
Sure. I mean, I'll go. You
Okay.
actually mentioned it, Joe, and I'm surprised you pulled it because it's more of a niche name. Is my stock up was Ryan Wendell, man, with the offensive line.
Um,
I'll say this. I'll say run blocking and Ryan Wendell. Um, man, the holes were there all day against at least personnel wise. What is a good front? Wendell is playing with a bunch of rotating pieces. Some of them are backups. Alaric Jackson, first game back of the season, and he's making it work, man. And they're playing complementary football. That's you know as an offensive line, they're playing complementary. They're playing in sync. It just looks really organized. I wish our secondary looked like that. Stock up Ryan Wendell and their run blocking.
for me,
It's a good one.
I'm gonna be not generic, but I'm gonna be what you guys think I'm gonna be. My stock up is obviously Tutu Atwell.
Okay.
Me
Okay.
being the probably the biggest Tutu Atwell fan in the fan base, I just think that his stock's gonna go up just because Cooper and Puka's out, and if he continues to be ran in motion like he has, and continue just to beat guys over the top, I just think he maybe could have a 400, 500 yard, seven touchdown season. Deshaun Jackson, like you know what I mean.
Yeah, he had a good game, man. He had a good game. I hear you.
All right, so I did get the data on that. Let me see if this shows up in the screen. It's not showing up well, but it's good enough. So if we hit the little, you guys don't know Spo Track, you hit the little scissors over here on the right. And 2025, if we trade him, because he's still a good player, somebody will go for him. Well, let me break it down. Signing bonus, very little. Roster bonus, very high. Roster bonus is tradable. The team that pays the roster bonus is the team that has the player at the time the roster bonus is due. Okay, so even though it might be guaranteed already, if it's a team that has him when it's due that pays it. Signing bonuses stay with the team that signed the contract. Okay.
By the way, again, we're talking about Jonah Jackson, just so you guys are on.
Yeah. Jonah Jackson. How tradable he is after this season if we want to go Avila left guard, Limmer center, and Dotson right guard. Okay. So if we traded him before the season next year, we save $16 million in the cap and only have $2.8 million dead cap. That is, dude. Remember we mentioned when he was drafted how well structured the contract was. This is why it's well structured. It doesn't really give you the ability to cut him in this season, but it gives you the ability to trade him. So
Right.
with Bo Limmer looking like he's a stud, if Bo Limmer's a stud, man, I'm gonna lose my mind because having a left guard and a center cost controlled is like the best.
Yeah.
That's such a
Yeah.
huge
Hey,
deal.
hey, Ethan, you know what that is? I think that's just the universe paying us back for missing out on Creed Humphrey. That's what it
You know
Yeah.
what? And
I
you
mean,
just brought up Tutu as your stock up.
is.
yeah. It's not even fair to Tutu, man, because I feel like no matter how good he does, I'll always think about Creed Humphrey, and he's never going to be as good as Creed Humphrey. So I'll
Tutu
always
just should have never been a second round pick. The crazy thing
it's not even
is
his fault. It's our fault for taking him.
the
that high.
insiders even said they hadn't spoken to another team that thought about taking Tutu before the fourth round.
Yeah.
The report was we wanted D. Eskridge, who was a deep threat, and
Right.
when he got
Go for the
taken,
trap.
he's been hurt his whole career. I actually think he's a good player,
Okay,
but
fair
he's
enough.
literally. You
Fair
want to call that trash? He's literally been hurt every season. But
Right.
he got picked to pick before us by the Seahawks, which has happened many times before with those losers. But I think that they just panicked and said, "Oh, Tutu's the next deep threat on our big board. Let's take him." I think that's what happened. If we would have taken Tutu in the fourth, all of this is much more palatable. But that's for a different topic of conversation. All right, stock up defense. You know what? I'm gonna go with my boy because he got doubted by some people. Some people were talking about what a mistake it was that we spent so much draft capital taking him in the second round. I'm going with Braden Fisk because he was a bully, dude. He's smart. His motor came into play. His strength came into play. His pass rush moves came into play. His run stuff, like bro. I've talked about in the past how he's a complete player. He used all those skills and all those natural talents on display against the Niners, against the freaking 49ers, our biggest rivalry. What a huge game. What a huge moment for him. And he balled out.
Yeah, that's a good one. He played really well. I'll go next, and mine is Byron Young. And guys, obviously, there's been a lot of hype for Jared Verse, rightfully so. He's a really exciting player. I want to give some love to Byron Young. He played well. He played pretty dang well. And then I just want to specifically highlight we talked about it near the end of the first half. He got the strip sack, and I was in Discord talking to a lot of Rams fans, and people kept kind of saying, "Oh, dang, we didn't get to convert it though. We didn't get any points out of it." And that's true, but what it did was it stopped San Fran from kicking a field goal in a game that we only won by 3 points. So that was absolutely a massive play by Byron Young. He's consistently getting penetration. He looks really good. Stock up, Byron Young. Great play.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that one wholeheartedly. But I'm gonna go with a coach, just like Will did on the offensive stock up. I'm gonna go with Giff Smith. He's the D line coach. I just think that he has those guys running on all cylinders, man. I think instead of Bobby Brown, like we spoke about, other than Bobby Brown, I think he has every other defensive lineman just working crazy. Braden Fitz has been good. Jared Verse has been amazing. Ryan Young has been steady. Clippy Turner has been himself. He hasn't shown the sack numbers, but his pressure's been up.
He
and
was
I've
actually
seen
he
him
was
definitely.
he was steady and key against the run too. He made a lot of plays against the
Yep.
run.
Him too. Tyler Davis coming in. I seen sorry, I don't
Gallimore.
keep forgetting his name. Gallimore, he came in. I seen him in a couple of plays. Um, I just
Yeah, no.
I think he's doing a good job, really.
Yeah, I agree. He's actually I was really nervous about moving on from Eric Henderson, and I think he's done a tremendous job. Everyone's ready. Everyone's bro. They're you talk about coaches that you want to run through a wall for. They're all running through walls every freaking game, like every drive. They're
Yeah,
all,
they
like
are.
so. That's a great stock up. All right, so we get them all out of the way. Ready for stock down?
Yeah,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
do it.
Stock down. I am going to. Man, I just after watching the film, I'm gonna give stock down to Kyron Williams, and I'll tell you why specifically. I'll tell you.
That's
I love
three
No,
weeks
people can
I
hate
love
on me
that.
all they
in
want.
a row, baby.
They can hate on me all they want, and I'll tell you. But I'm gonna explain it to you. This game, if you're gonna be the merchant that gets big games with great run blocking, and you're gonna suck when there's bad run blocking, you got to have a big game with good run blocking. This run blocking this week was as good or better than last year. He had consistently in the second half
Yeah.
of last year. This is the kind of game Kyron was giving you 150 yards last year with. I mean, I wish I could show you guys some of the film and some of the stills. We play this game with Kyron. It's like we freeze frame it when the decision to cut a direction is made. It has to be made, and like whatever direction you think Kyron should go in, he's probably not going that direction. In fact, oftentimes he just runs straight into the nearest defender, which is insane. It's weirder than it sounds, but it happens. I just need more, man. He's leaving so much meat on the bone. All 3 weeks, he's just left so many yards. And I appreciate the 3 touchdowns, to be honest. The catching touchdown, I'm not even going to hate on that. That was a great play by him and Stafford. Good call by McVay. The 2 rushing touchdowns, I mean, a semi-truck could have fit through those holes, bro.
Yeah.
That's I appreciate it, but literally, you could have had Stafford run through those if you wanted to.
Ronnie Rivers could have gotten those. I
Yeah.
hear you.
So if you're going to have a top tier level O line run blocking with the 2 tight ends and the running and the receivers, everyone just giving you elite run blocking, you got to put up more than 3.7 yards a carry, bro. You have to.
Yep. Okay, I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
I agree.
I guess I'll go next. My stock, Tyler Johnson, and someone that after the Detroit game where he had a good game, and obviously I knew Puka was out, and then Cooper went down. I thought that this was somebody who would pick up the slack. Guys, I kind of think he's just the odd man out in this rotation between you got Tutu as the deep threat, Whittington I like, D Rob I like. There's obviously only so many people you can have on the field, and now we're running some 12 personnel. So I mean, I'm sure Tyler Johnson will make plays here and there, but I've kind of given up on him having like a steady role and like steady production while Puka and Cooper Kupp are out. I think he's just kind of, like I said it already, I think he's just the odd man out in that wide receiver rotation. So stock down for Tyler Johnson.
I do remember someone saying on the podcast recap after week 1 that he was going to get overrated by the coaching staff and the fans for that one big catch.
Is that person you?
Oh, yeah, that was me.
Yep.
Okay.
Good catch.
But it was a good dude. You know what it was? It was just like It was like the perfect storm. The two guys that he made miss were just ready to be made miss. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
like an insane. It was a really nice turnaround. It wasn't mind blowing. It didn't deserve two guys literally just sliding past him and falling over. And then he
Yeah.
just had wide open space, and I was like, that
Yeah.
felt more like defensive error than it did something
Yeah.
incredible he did. I was like, I need to see
Right.
something incredible from Tyler before I'm on the Tyler train. And
Right.
he's been really you're right. He's been really disappointed the last 2 weeks.
That's like the week one special because no one's tackled yet.
Hey,
I hear you. That's fair.
I want to see more Jordan Whittington.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
So for me, my stock down. Oh, actually, before I go to the stock down real quick, I know we talked about special teams, but I just want to. I don't know if we said his name enough, but I just want to shout out Xavier Smith.
Xavier
Yeah.
Smith.
What a punt!
No, it
What a
was
punt return! What a story that guy has, man. Shout out to him.
well for shouting out special teams real quick though. Can we shout
Yeah.
out Joshua game winner Cardi?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah,
every
Cardi.
every kick he
Yeah.
made was just that I talked about in the preseason when he was struggling a little bit. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, our kicker sucks." I was like, "No, bro. Every kick he makes just flies straight. Even his misses
clean.
flew
Really-
straight.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good.
There's
You don't
there's
get nervous at
such
all.
pretty kicks, man.
Right
And-
off his foot, you're like, okay,
no,
that's going. in. You
because
don't-
when guys miss it, mostly it's a shank. It
Right.
goes and then it just starts curving hard. I haven't seen a single kick from him curve. And hey, shout out Ethan Evans had like multiple inside the 20. Actually, this deserves to be looked up. Let me actually because dude, they were good. We had Cardi 2 for 2, 3 for 3. He had he only had 3 punts. 2 of them were inside the 20.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah. Ethan Evans is a great player, man.
He's a
We've
great-
been
dude.
blessed with Johnny Hecker.
Hey,
Now this guy.
Yeah.
but Ethan Evans rookie last year, Joshua Cardi rookie this year. We may have just found our kicker and punter for the future.
Yeah, for sure.
For
No, I
like
think we
long
have.
term future, bro. We've been through some stuff between Hecker and Greg Zerline, and now we've been through some stuff. I'm just gonna say the name Sloman and PTSD to all the Rams fans.
Yeah, guys. If you think we're kind of nerding out and being wild about special teams, before Ethan got here last year, it was so bad, dude. It's
So
just a breath of
bad,
fresh
and the special teams coaching was terrible. Like, bro, it's been a nightmare. You want to not have to worry about special teams, but now it feels like special teams has become a strength, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah. Even
yeah.
the kick return with Corum. But anyways, yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. For my stock, real quick, my stock down. I can't really key in on any offensive player, but I'm gonna just do 3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row. Um, Ethan just said I'm gonna just go Kyron Williams again. Everybody knows I love Kyron, but I'm just gonna keep giving him stock downs until he plays good. That's what I'm.
This is
That's,
crazy,
that's what
man.
I'm gonna keep giving him stock downs until I can finally give him a stock up.
I'm gonna
Hopefully it's next week.
I just literally praised Sean McVay nonstop, but stock down for the fact that he hasn't played Blake Corum yet. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, what is that?
When
I
I
don't
saw
understand.
Ronnie Rivers, I wanted to flip the table in the bar that I was sitting in. Like, I was so mad, and then Ronnie Rivers just has the lamest lame duck runs. Nothing. Anyways, let's go stock down defense.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna pull a Joe. I'm gonna harp on the same thing I've been harping on all 3 games. The middle of the field is an utter disaster, especially in the. I can't tell you guys watching how many times it was Braden Fisk and Kobe Turner making a play, bailing out Troy Reader, Rose Boom, freaking Bobby Brown. Bro, that trio on the front 7 is horrific. It's the worst I've ever seen as a Rams fan. That nose tackle inside linebacker trio, and obviously the inside linebacker duo is the worst I've ever seen. I think actually ever on any team, they're that bad. Because really, neither of them are not. They're not only not starter level. They're not even like backup level. They're bad.
Yeah.
They're. I mean, I challenge any one of the comment sections. Name me one thing either of those guys have done well consistently this season. They've been bad in man coverage. They've been bad in zone coverage. They were in zone all last game, and they literally did nothing the entire game. But watch balls fly all around them. Bad against the run. They haven't been good blitzing. They've done nothing in the blitz game. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah, they have. They're just awful. I agree with that. I'm gonna just go first this time. My stock down is Kobe Durant, and specifically for the reason that from what I saw and from what I talked to Ethan about, that Kobe Durant was on Jawan Jennings for a lot of the game, and just for Juwan Jennings looking like Randy Moss, Jerry Rice hybrid.
Yeah, man.
You
What
gotta, you
was
gotta,
that,
you gotta
dude?
get
That was
touchdowns on
insane.
Brett. You have to.
Okay, yeah.
Well, the
No,
Randy Moss
that
play, you said Kobe Durant, right?
Yeah, Kobe Durant.
That
Yeah,
Randy Moss play was freaking Quentin Lake though, because they both suck.
yeah. No, I
dude, but
was
that
saying
was
that
actually
Juwan
that
Jennings
play was
looked
good
like
with
Randy
great
Moss
defense
all
anyway.
game.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
looking like it was bad. That's a fair one.
Yeah,
Kobe Durant was probably the worst secondary player of the day,
Hmm.
yeah,
besides maybe Quentin Lake.
yeah. No, that is a good that one. I mean, that has to be mentioned. So that was a good one. Guys, I'm just gonna cheat and do two because honestly, there's two things that come to mind. First, very quickly, Christian Roseboom, because I I wasn't high on him already, but I don't even think I think he's the might be the worst linebacker I think he's worse than Reader, and I can't remember watching a linebacker that's worse than this guy in my whole life of watching Rams football. So the stock is even lower on him. I think he's got to get out of there, man. And you know what? If the reason why we're not taking Reader off the field is because he's the green dot guy, then okay, fine. Get Spade, take out Roseboom and get Spates in there alongside Reader then, because Spates should be on the field, man. And I'll just leave it at that for now, because I know we already all agree on that. The other one is Bobby Brown, and you say, how can you go stock down on a guy who didn't play? I think, and Ethan, you've been all over this. I think Bobby Brown is a big reason why our run defense suffered the first two games. He's out this game. Our run defense looks a lot better. Our front, the anchor, the push is a lot better. With those guys behind Brown who played, I think it was Davis and what is it?
Gallimore.
Gallimore.
Gallimore actually had a couple nice run stops. He's solid. They're both good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. So just by way of
comparatively.
them stepping up and playing well, stock down for Bobby Brown. I'd like to see him. I'm okay if he stays on the bench.
I agree, and I want to add on to some of you guys might be thinking, oh, it's a little hyperbolic to say Christian Rosen was the worst linebacker I've ever seen. But
It's not.
but
It's not.
I want to introduce you to one of the ways that I think about football, and that is basically, I think every position has different responsibilities, right? And they have different levels of importance. The number one responsibility with the number one importance for a linebacker is what? Tackling. He might be the worst tackler I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even if you think there's any redeeming qualities to his game, which you shouldn't because there's not, the main responsibility of an inside linebacker is to tackle well, and he is one of the worst I've literally ever seen.
Yeah.
It's that bad.
I hear you.
All right,
I'm totally with you.
Bears preview time. We'll go through this real quick. We've been doing previews pretty fast. Let's do a quick rundown of the O versus D stuff. So we're still going to be out our same guys on offense. I'm excited to see if Alaric can do any better with more time on under his legs and all that jazz. Logan Bruss, he's doing great in the run game. He just needs to pick up the pass blocking. And to be honest, from what I saw, he's struggling with having a strong base, because in the run game you're not really keeping a strong base. You're pushing, you're moving people.
Right.
So he needs to keep that strong base, and he's getting his butt handed to him. And when it comes to hand fighting, he's getting torn to shreds. He could go get some lessons with that Krav Maga guy with the knives. Man, he needs to get better with his hands. But I'm hoping that we can see some improvement from Logan. But yeah, I expect this next week's offense to look a lot like the one from this week. So
Yeah, they have a very good defense, by the way. It's going to be a tough test for the offense for sure.
yeah,
Real quick.
yep.
I don't know. I'm sorry. Sorry for anyone. Who is? I don't know. Sorry, Brad. I don't know who's playing. At the right side, the ends. Who's playing against Alaric this week? Who is it?
I'll show it in a second. I forgot to put this up. I was talking about it and I never put it up. So this is what we're looking like going into next week. And then I think Kevin Dotson's day to day, but I'm sure he'll play. It's the same thing he's been dealing with. But yeah, so let's go look at the defense. It looks like it's DeMarcus Walker, but I think they move around. So he's probably going to see a lot of Montez Sweat as well.
Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat is a good player.
Now
He's a
I'll
good
tell
player.
you, so they play a 4-3. So what you have to look at with the 4-3 basically is that neither defensive tackle is generally going to be playing over the center. They're going to be playing the 3 and the 5 tech. One of the main matches I'm looking for is going to be Gervon Dexter against Logan Bruss because we all liked Gervon Dexter's tape. In fact, if the Bears keep losing, I'm gonna call the Bears GM Ryan Poles and be like, hey, we'll give you a fourth for Ryan Dexter or Gervon Dexter because he could play nose tackle. Like Joe, we loved his film. He's a great guy.
Yeah, we did. I love the tape, man.
So Gervon Dexter is a big deal because he's gonna be going up against Bruss a lot, and he's a monster. So they've got great linebackers. They're not like out of this world, but they're decent. Right. Secondary, Jalen Johnson is a stud. I mean, man, he is going to cause us problems. Brisker, and even though Kevin Byard has slowed down quite a bit, he's still a ball hawk. He can get interception at any time. Big time interception threat. So this is gonna be a good matchup. I mean, but we just spanked the 49ers, so there's nothing we can't do.
Guys, keep it going.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the D versus the O. We've got, let's see here. We've got same everything. I don't think anyone's going to be back from injury. If our great head coach, Sean McVay, would be generous and merciful and kind to play Omar Spates and Tyler Davis instead of either linebacker and Bobby Brown, we would be eternally grateful and would be awesome to see. Oh my gosh, I don't want to watch it anymore. It's just there's so much good happening around, and then you just got to watch these guys not fill gaps, not go to the edge to make tackles. You know they say you want a sideline to sideline inside linebacker. These guys barely play hash to hash. That's how bad they are. They barely make numbers to numbers. It's just horrific, dude. I can't deal with it anymore. Let's look at the Bears offense. It's star-studded, super talented.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift been having a terrible year. Caleb Williams looks like he's not ready for the NFL. But their receiving core is insane. Rome Odunze had a great game last week for the first time. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, they're stacked. Cole Kmet is great. I mean, they got Gerald Everett's the backup, and he's actually been a pretty decent receiving tight end for a long time. Yep. They have real talent. Their main issue is, the middle. The whole O-line has been struggling mightily. I can't wait to see them tee off. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and I think specifically their tackles, I'm hearing from a lot of people are not good. And one more thing is that should be mentioned, I feel like, is their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, who's from the, he was part of the Rams. He went and coached the Seahawks, and now he's the Bears OC. Not looking like a very well schemed offense so far. You have a rookie quarterback, fine, but I mean, look at Jaden Daniels with Cliff Kingsbury's actually scheming up some good things with Jaden Daniels, and so I don't want to give him a pass just because he's working with a rookie QB. I mean, yeah, he's a rookie QB, but he's also one of the most talented prospects we've seen in years. Weapons everywhere. I don't think it's a very good offense scheme wise.
To be honest,
I'm excited to see.
To be honest, Caleb oftentimes looked lost. Especially with pressure, and the one thing we can't have is constant miscommunications in the backside, the secondary. So hopefully we see some improvements there.
No, you're exactly right, because the thing about Caleb is whether he's playing good or bad, he does not care. He will keep slinging it deep, and he's going to take chances. So you're absolutely right. The safeties, the secondary, we got to be on point, especially with the deep balls. Rome Odunze actually got behind some defenders a couple times against the Colts on Sunday. So absolutely, yep.
All right, so let's go ahead and move to key matchups. I'll just knock mine out real quick. I'm excited to see what our D-line is going to do against the O-line, bro. It's going to be sick. I think we're going to tear them to shreds. I think Jared Verse gets a 2-sack game. I think Braden Fisk gets his first sack. I think Kobe Turner might get a sack or two. I don't know why, but I'm feeling like we're going to tee off and we're going to have like an insane 7 or 8 sack game. I know Caleb Williams is slippery and all that, but he's kind of reminding me of Justin Fields, where he's slipping tackles, but he's not going anywhere. He's not doing nothing. Remember, Fields was like making guys miss for 20 seconds and still getting sacked. I think we're going to see some of that nonsense, but I'm excited to see our young D-line just tee off, man.
Yeah. My key matchup is Caleb Williams for secondary. Like we said before, he's been struggling. I think last game he had 2 turnovers. I think his first couple games he had maybe 3 in total. So
He
he's probably like 5, 6 turnovers right
he's
now.
he's
He's turnover
throwing
heavy.
he's throwing the ball up for grabs,
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just think that the secondary has to step up and don't make it a game like we did with Marvin Harrison Jr. to where these rookies become superstars. Make it a game to where they continue struggling and they become a superstar against some other team.
Yeah, I hear you, Joe. Mine is very similar because it's actually the receivers versus our secondary. But I'll say, you know what? I want to get as specific as the key matchups for me are our safety. I'm going to say
Yeah.
our safeties versus their receivers because Trey White I think is playing pretty well. Durant, he had a bad game last week, but he's
We
had a
might
couple
see a
good games.
Kalo Witherspoon pump up too. So
I wouldn't mind seeing that either. But Kinshins and Lake, man, are sussing me out. I mean, they're getting beat deep constantly. So I'm gonna say those two players. Man, we need John Johnson back ASAP. But yeah, those two players. Caleb will. We said it already. He will throw it deep. He'll throw it deep often.
he's also
They got
telegraphing his passes
they got
big time. Like
yeah.
he's asking for picks.
Right. So
Turnovers,
it's
Yeah,
an
we
opportunity
need
for
that.
some turnovers as well. And
Yeah.
but yeah, DJ Moore, Rome, Adunze, they can get behind a defense. So that's my key matchup.
All right,
Keep them in front of you.
keys to victory. Let's keep this brief.
Sure.
My key to victory is going to be. Man, it's tough. I'm gonna go ahead and just stick with my theme and say, and it's a really really dominant day from the pass rush.
Okay. I like that. I mean, mine is similar, but it's again. I'm getting specific
Sure.
to get Caleb Williams down. Okay,
Yeah.
not just the pressure, not what we
Yeah.
saw against Kyler Murray, where we get there but we don't get him down. What we saw against Brock Purdy, which I forgot to mention this, guys. It's actually infuriating how many times we got to him, but then we had pass rushers like falling at his feet.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice that? We had like rushers just like falling at Purdy's feet. So it's not just
That happened against the Cardinals
pressure.
too. It's both weeks.
Yeah, absolutely it did. And so yeah, it's not just pressure. It's get him down, man. And just a small kind of offshoot of that is also contain him. Don't let him run outside of you. Jared Verse, take smart angles to the quarterback.
Yep.
That's my key.
Yeah. I have two quick ones. My first one is stop the run. Like we said before, DeAndre Swift hasn't been good. Do not let him be good this game.
He's explosive.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
second one. My second one is this the fourth week in a row. I've been saying it, and it's probably gonna be
Run
my
the
last.
ball.
If it doesn't happen, run the ball, bro. We
Yeah.
have to be successful at running the ball.
Well,
Tyron,
specifically run it well because he's been running it.
yeah, pretty well. That's
He's
better.
been getting carries. He's been getting lots of carries.
Kyron's been getting
Yeah.
the memo so far. Run the ball, but you forgot to say run it well.
This is your
Run the
fault.
ball well. Yeah, okay, you're right. You're right. Let me add that.
Don't
Run,
just
run the ball.
run it
Run
well.
the ball well, man.
Yeah.
Run the
Oh
ball
wait,
well.
you want to run the ball
Indeed.
well? Well, we're gonna need to see Blake Corum
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
hope, but
That's my key to victory. Run the ball well.
all right.
I hear you.
Time for week 4 predictions. Yeah, you know what? I'm back on the hype train. I think we go 2-2. I'm gonna go Rams 27, Bears 17.
Okay.
Ooh,
Go ahead, Joe.
I think there's not much win, but I think 1-3 is not good. Even though the bye week's coming up, I want to be 2-2 going to Green Bay. They're going to our bye week where we might get some guys back afterwards. So I'm gonna say we get a win. I'm gonna go low scoring actually. I'm gonna go 17-14. A close one.
Yeah, I hear that. And about the must-win thing, you're right that it's not. But in the same way that 1-2 is massively different than 0-3, 2-2 is massively different than 1-3. It's a huge game. I'm gonna go I think it's gonna be lower scoring as well. They have a good defense. Offense is still banged up. I'm gonna say Rams 20, Bears 16.
You guys are haters. Sean McVay just dumped 27 on the 49ers defense. Come on.
I think this is a better defense. I could be wrong though. It's so early in the year. Nothing is set in stone. There's a lot of things I'm not sure about
Sure,
to be
sure.
honest. I think it's a better defense. They've been playing well, but
I'm
Yeah, I'd
gonna
love to,
predict the Jordan Whittington coming out party.
okay.
Well, that's
Love
a good
that.
one. That's a good one. The reason I said low scoring, I just think that we might get the week where the defense finally shows, okay, these guys are really legit. I think we get one of those games.
I'm gonna be more specific. I'm predicting Jordan Whittington with the 100-yard game and a touchdown.
Okay, that's bold. That is bold, bro.
Hey,
Love
guys,
it.
bet that if
That's
you can. Bet it right now.
that's the worst prediction ever because I'm predicting Sean to give heavy snaps to a rookie. That's not a good prediction. But everyone's hurt, so you never know. Like I said, Tyler hasn't looked good, so it's possible.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. That's it for episode 5 of the Rams House Podcast. We appreciate you guys joining us. We appreciate if you guys like, subscribe, comment. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you guys thought of the 49ers game and the upcoming game against the Bears. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching.
Have a good one, guys.